Alright, today we're going to talk about rifles. This is my Winchester Model 70. This is what would be considered a single action firearm. What that means is that for every pull of the trigger, you have to then cock the firearm before you can fire again. So in a revolver platform, that means pulling the hammer back. In this platform, it means the actual bolt, which was locked. Okay, so the bolt would have to be pulled back, put back in, put down, before you could fire with the trigger. This shoots a 30-06. This was one of the early military cartridges that was often used, specifically for the M1 Garand, or Garand, however you feel like pronouncing it. And it is a very popular hunting cartridge. Now, unlike this platform here, the AR-15 shoots a much smaller cartridge. It also behaves in a much different fashion. So the AR-15 shoots a 223 or 5.56. Comparatively, you can see much smaller. Now, initially, during the design phase of the AR-15, they actually created what was known as the AR-10, which shooted a 7.62, which is the equivalent of the 308 that I have here. So you can compare that also to the 223. Again, this was a much larger cartridge. And what they found in early field testing was that on full auto, the 7.62 or 308 cartridge was not controllable, or that's what they claimed. Now, the AR-15, there's a lot of arguments about whether the AR-15 was ever actually used in combat. The thing is, the AR-15 was a designation that was given to Armalite's rifle. That's actually what the AR stands for, is Armalite rifle, because Armalite was the company that was creating it. When they created their prototype that used the 5.56 223 cartridge, they called it AR-15. Now, when it was adopted by the U.S. military, it was adopted in a form that had full auto or select fire, and it was given the designation of M16. So nothing with an actual AR-15 model number ever actually saw combat. It became the M16 at full auto. The civilian rifle was still marketed as an AR-15, but they removed the auto capability from the rifle. So this, being a civilian built one, is semi-automatic. What that means is that after it is initially racked, then each pull of the trigger fires one round. So one round would be fired. What would then happen is, as the round is passing through the barrel, it gets down here where the gas block is. The remaining gas in the barrel, instead of continuing to propel the bullet out the barrel, passes through this gas tube, which you can't see, but it's right in here, and it comes all the way back to where the casing was. The gas from that pushes the actual bolt carrier right here, which is what loaded the cartridge in the first place, back like that. When the gas is expelled, the bolt is released again. That action both cocks the hammer again and picks up the next cartridge in the magazine, loading into the chamber. So now when you pull the trigger a second time, you get to fire another round. So that's what makes it semi-automatic. Every one pull of the trigger fires one round without manual cocking. Whereas on the single action firearms, like the Model 70, every time you fire a round, you have to recock it. Now, you'll notice that this one does have a marking for full auto, but it does not have the capability because the parts are not there. Okay, full auto, differing from semi-automatic, is you pull the trigger and it will continue to fire until you stop pulling the trigger. Okay, nothing that is sold on the market today to civilians is full auto. You may be able to try and get something using what they call a tax stamp through the NFA. That's the National Firearms Act, where you can basically pay to get things that are generally restricted. But no one can go walk into a gun store or walk into a gun show and just buy a full auto anything. It is not a thing. Lots of people would love to be able to, but you can't. That's not how it works. So now, let's talk about the AR-15 being a, quote, weapon of war. As we mentioned, the AR-15, with that designation, never actually saw combat. The M16, which was fully automatic, did. Every AR-15, which was sold on the open market, either pre-manufactured or to be assembled with parts, was done so as a semi-automatic weapon with no full auto capability. That being said, my Model 70, although never officially adopted by the US government, was used and did see combat in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam as a sniper rifle. So, when we're talking of weapons of war, my hunting rifle is more of a weapon of war than the AR-15 is. Now, even if we were to ignore all the history and say that the AR-15 was a weapon of war, that actually doesn't exclude it from being owned by the common civilian. If you'd like to know why, keep an eye out. I'll be doing a video on that soon. So please, tell me what you think down below. Tell me if you have any questions, if there's something else you want to talk about, if there's something else you want to learn about. I'm trying to help educate people as best as I can. This is probably very low-level stuff for most of the people out there that are familiar with guns, but education is key. So tell me what you think. Ask any questions, whatever, in the comments, and I'll talk to you later.